broken and ashamed, but I'm not agreeing. We've got that footage, actually, of him saying that. So we're just going to get that ready, and then let's react to this. So this is Phillip Schofield talking exclusively in an interview with The Sun newspaper.
We became mates. And then one day, something happened that just changed it.
There have been accusations that you groomed him. I'm just going to let you answer the question.
I did not. I did not.
Yeah.
There is no question I did a bad thing. Unprofessional. First time. I know I did that.
Yeah.
The last time we had a conversation was when I texted Holly and said, don't reply. This is after the statement last week. Don't reply. You're probably not allowed to. But I am deeply, deeply sorry that I lied to you.
So that's what Phillip had to say. From a public relations perspective, Calvermont PR you're the director of Calvermont. I don't know, what is the specialty of Calvermont?
I mean, it's property, actually, but...
No, OK, but of course, let's then, you know, use the analogy. One of your clients, very high-profile person in property, maybe someone who is a dragon, maybe someone who has a property empire that is well-known, has a public profile, and then something like this happens where there isn't a question of illegality, but immorality, surely and certainly. What would be your strategy? What do you make of how Phillip is handling this? And is this enough to draw a line under the affair?
There's a lot of questions there.
Yep.
First of all, I think one of the first rules is don't lie. So, you know, that's slightly unfortunate. I think he's not handling it brilliantly, to say the least. I think this is sort of reeks of desperation, doesn't it? It's the last roll of the dice, trying desperately to salvage something so that maybe some channel will take him. What I noticed with that, though, is he's obviously trying to help Holly out and trying to save her job as well, which I suppose is slightly honourable, because obviously there's a lot of question marks over whether he did or indeed lie to her, or whether she did.
A lot of question marks or a lot of pound signs?
Yeah, both.
Because, again, you know, if I was expecting a huge payout of the rest of my contract from ITV, which some people put out as much as $1 million a year, some people put 600,000 or 700,000 a year, you know, the first thing I thought when I read his statement was, you know, you are throwing yourself under the bus here for absolutely everyone else. Holly didn't know, the management didn't know, the colleagues didn't know, my management, I'm talking about the ITV management, didn't know, my personal management and agents didn't know. I lied, my family didn't know. It was me, I lied to everyone. And that was very much falling on his sword, but it had a hint of implausibility to me, and it had the cynical side of me thought, well, you're looking after absolutely everyone because you know that you're hanging from the gallows, but perhaps there's something in it for you to make sure that everyone else comes out of this smelling of roses.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody's sort of said something, not under duress, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but certainly for a purpose as opposed to genuinely speaking from the heart. It didn't feel very heartfelt, did it? The statement at all. It felt very short, sharp sentences, very much scripted.
But
really.
Also just implausible. I didn't.
Oh, totally.
I didn't immediately believe it, and I'll tell you again. I was at ITV when all of this was happening. I was a producer there, and it was. Again, people ask, why didn't you say anything? Well, firstly, at the time, it was two adults, one admittedly much younger, having an affair. Secondly, you know, it was known, but no one had ever actually said to me, oh, you know, these two are together. It was just known. But thirdly, I don't know who I would have told that didn't know already. It would have been odd to go to someone and say, well, do you know this is going on? Because everyone just sort of knew. And so from that perspective, no, I'm not saying that I know that Holly knew. I'm not saying I know that the bosses knew, but certainly among the staff that worked there, because otherwise, why would this young person just be hanging around Phil this whole time? And so from that context, it all seemed a little implausible.
Oh, yeah, I think it's undoubted that everybody knew there was some sort of relationship. I think that comes across so strongly everywhere. I mean, as you say, it was an open secret, so open that nobody really felt the need to say anything. But equally, perhaps people didn't realise how the relationship started and that backstory, which has since come out. And maybe, had that been a bit known, maybe people would have...
And that, I think, is a very fair comment, in as much as that is... certainly that context wasn't known when I was there. At the time I thought, okay, this guy started working here, he's got close to Phil, that's what's going on. Certainly, without a doubt, it wasn't known that they had a friendship since he was 15, because I do think that does put a completely different spin on it. Again, not necessarily an illegal spin, but certainly one that gives you pause for thought about whether something more sinister is going on. So should Phillip stop talking? He's done an interview with Amal Rajan as well. Should he stop talking? Is he digging himself again from a PR perspective further into a hole here? Or is this a good strategy for damage limitation? If you were advising him, what would you be telling him to do now?
To be honest, I think normally I would say just enough is enough, but realistically, he probably hasn't got much to lose. And if he can salvage something by talking and trying to appeal to people's better sides, then, a couple of interviews where he appears heartfelt might help. But unfortunately, it doesn't come across that way at all. So maybe he is digging himself a bigger hole. I'd love him to stop talking personally. Professionally, I think probably if he picked the right interview with the right host and could appear heartfelt and answered the questions more considered with a little bit more, I want to say, with a genuine stance. We don't know, obviously, what's genuine or not, but certainly the way he's shown himself to be today isn't coming across that way. So,
and also, again, I think he's also he's hanged himself a little bit, in as much as he put out a statement last week saying, I lied here, I lied there, I lied over there, I lied. And so now he has set himself up as a liar. I don't think that was a particularly well-crafted nor considered statement at all.
No.
Really, really badly worded, because now you think, well, am I going to believe you're remorseful? Am I going to believe that the people around you didn't know? Am I going to believe all of this stuff because you've openly declared you're a liar?
Yeah, he's betrayed the sort of number one rule in crisis comms, which is don't rush. Have a think, consider everything you want to say, and then stick with one message, and don't lie. And he's come out and said, I'm a liar, really, really quickly. And that's sort of going to frame every other move that he makes.
Yeah, but now, oh, look, I'm really remorseful and there was no grooming. Please believe me. Please believe me now. Well, really? I'm not sure.
It wouldn't stand up in court, would it?
No. You get caught out in a lie.
But you're a liar.
Then you're a liar. Now, people will usually forgive a lie if you're
a lie. Yes.
Very, very open and transparent, but they won't forgive a series of lies, and they certainly won't forgive as well. The thing that the public hate is being duped. And I also think that the whole sort of coming out charade now, which was clearly because this story was rumbling back then, people who were perhaps very sympathetic to him and perhaps would have been sympathetic back then had he said, you know what, I'm coming out, but I also need to tell you that I've been having this affair, and that's one of the reasons I'm coming out, but I also should come out. They might have forgiven him for that now, but now they feel like they were a bit fooled.
Yeah, I mean, that whole piece with him holding onto Holly and shaking and crying and calling her his rock. It just makes me feel a bit sick, really. It's very, I mean, I had another theory back at the time. Obviously, I didn't have the pleasure of working at ITV and being in on the sort of affair secret as such. But I did think at the time, he's getting a lot of, there's a lot of rumours about his personality and about his relationships with colleagues, in the sense of whether he's being nice to them, whether he's, you know, throwing his weight around a bit too much. You know, there was the whole Eamon Holmes situation. And I thought actually it was there to try and make people...
And did you know any rumours about any kind of affair?
No, I didn't, to be fair, but I'm not in TV.
Okay.
I mean...
No, I was going to say, because there were lots of people who weren't in TV that knew about those rumours, and I was just going to kind of make the point that you apparently knew more than Holly Willoughby, which is odd.